Hi Flosstube, it's Karen, recovering monogamous stitcher. Today is Friday, April 25th, 2025, and I'm here with my Flosstube number 68. Welcome, welcome, welcome. For those of you who have returned, I'm so happy that you came back. And if you're new here, thank you for stopping by. However you heard about my channel, I'm glad you found me, whether it was in a feed or someone mentioned me. I really appreciate you taking a chance and checking out my video. I think this is going to be a big one today. I have so many things to share and I'm so excited to do it. First, before I dive in, I want to mention two Flosstubers who are new to me. They are not new to Flosstube. Oh my gosh, I must have been under a rock, but I heard either Carol Saltbox mention or Brenda of Brenda and the Serial Starter, Sean, Periwinkle Periwinkle Stitcher. Oh my gosh, so I wrote it down. Okay, I've checked this one out, checked her out and went, I saw her at Sampler Symposium. I never met her, never had the opportunity to speak to her and get to know her, but oh my word, her videos are fantastic. If you have not checked her out, you need to. She not only does cross stitch, she does quilting, she does embroidery and all the things, and she's just a sweetheart. And her presentation is so good, so organized. She's just lovely to watch. So give her a try. And of course, I'm probably telling all the people who already know about it. So sorry for being so late to this party. And another that I just heard about on one of my Zoom meetings the other night is Phoebe of Moonshine Stitchery. Again, she's not new to Flosstube. She has like more videos than I do, I think. And I just discovered her. Phoebe, you're so sweet. And I love her presentation. She does wonderful stitching. The variety of stitching she does, you would just love it. So if you have not checked her out, check out Moonshine Stitchery. I will put a link in my notes below so you can just click on it and go find them. So sorry for being so out of it. Like I say, I must have been living under a rock. Okay, moving on. I have so much to share. I have past finishes I'm going to share. My spring things, they're on their way to being packed up for a year, so I thought I'll just stop here, show them, and then put them away. So I'll show you past finishes, springtime finishes. I have two new framed pieces, not new framed pieces, you've seen them in progress, but they're now framed. I have done many soft finishes. I've spent a lot of time doing finishing in the last couple of weeks. I have whips to share with you. I have a little bit of haul. I have my plans and I have my featured quilt on the wall, and we'll do that at the end. So I hope you'll stick around. Ton of stuff to share. Like I said, have I said that enough times? I'm sorry. I won't let that come out of my mouth again. Okay. So what have I done in the past 2 weeks? Well, here's my book of days. As you'll see, I'm not too big on stickers, but I use my book of days to remind me what I did stitching-wise on that day. Normally, I don't talk about my machine piecing and so forth in this book. This is strictly cross-stitch. So I have stitched every single day, so it was great 2 weeks. Now, those of you who've been here, you know, I've started dividing my stitching time, my available stitching time between machine work in the morning. Generally, I do that in the mornings, and then hand stitching, my cross stitch in the afternoon. Well, the last quilt I had hanging was just the top. It had not been quilted and has not been quilted, and I was waiting for the batting to come. So since I didn't have the batting, and I had such a pile of things on my ironing surface waiting to be finished, I thought, okay, I'm going to dive into these, and when the batting comes, fine, then I'll get going on that quilt, but I'm going to try to get as many of these finished as I can. I was pretty successful. I've had several Zoom stitching meetings with my friends. I had a meetup with Queen City Sampler Guild. I had a meetup with my StitchCon friends and a meetup with Central Kentucky Stitchers. And by the way, if you do not have a local group of stitchers who are supportive and help you with your habit and all of that, I would encourage you to find a group where you can meet online. And I suggest to you two possibilities. Queen City Sampler Guild. They do stitches online, and if you join the guild, my goodness, you not only get stitching time online, there are lectures and teachers, and I live 2 hours away. I don't drive there to go to the meetings. I get them online, and it's well worth the price of the ticket. Last one we had was Katie Strachan. Not too shabby, not too shabby. And the other group I would suggest to you is Central Kentucky Stitchers. You can find Central Kentucky Stitchers on Facebook, and if you join the group, and there's not a big hurdle to jump to join our group, but then you'll know when are the Zooms, if we have a face-to-face, when and where is it, and the time and everything, if you're close enough to come by. But if you're not, we have out-of-state people joining us on our Zooms, and we certainly have room for more. So if you are feeling all lonely with your stitching, I strongly suggest you find some group to join. Okay, I'm going to start with past finishes. Okay, I showed the book of days. I got that out of the way. Okay, past finishes. Where was I going to start? Sorry, I have this all planned out so I can clear my way. Oh, okay. First one is going to be put away. This is Hip Hop from Stitching with the Housewives. I've had this finished quite a while. What's the year? 2020. I had this one finished. And I finished it in the style that Priscilla and Chelsea do so much with, magnets, holding it on a board, and you can switch it out. I have, several of these seasonals, and I switch them out. And I have the little pins from Just Another Button Company. And I found this cute little bunny ribbon, Michael's or Hobby Lobby, I don't remember. And that has come in handy several times. So that's Hip Hop. Okay, you're going away. And here's the pillow that goes with the, oh wait, no. This pillow is Hands-On Design. No, I know why. Okay. This Stitching with the Housewives was at the time when they were still working in conjunction with Kathy Haberman at Hands-On Design. This is the pillow that goes with it. It's called Hip Hop, but once you see Chip Chop, you can't unsee it. And I finished it with this little springy plaid, and you're going to see this again in another finish that I just did. So this pillow goes out. You're on your way back to the closet. I have, this one is Chocolate Bunny by Theresa Kogut. Oops, sorry. And I just put this on a little easel stand it up. It's not finished on the back. It's just on mat board and mounted on mat board. And this was originally printed, I don't know if it's even released, but it's from Punch Needle and Primitive Stitching magazine. I don't know the year, didn't know the year. And her original had a white bunny, but it was called Chocolate Bunny, so I made my bunny chocolate. So this is a Theresa Kogut. This is another Theresa Kogut. I think it's either called Bunny and Bee or Bee and Bunny, and it's a pattern. It wasn't in the magazine, but it's so cute. Look at the expression, that little face, the bunny's face and the bee. It's just darling. Okay, that's Theresa Kogut. Okay, this is Heart in Hand, and this is one of those etchings. She published 4 of them, and they originally came out in Punch Needle and Primitive Stitching magazine. They have now they're in general release. You can get the patterns. And I'm just not sure if it's called Spring Etchings Bunny or something, but this was one of the first of those that I did. I did not do the owl, and I did not do the fish. But again, finished as a flat fold and mounted flat fold, and I used Vonna Pfeiffer's tutorial online. I have her linked below in my notes because I referred to her several times, and I used that little bunny ribbon to keep this from splaying out too far, and then you just fold it flat when you put it away for season. It's very nice. I love that kind of finish. And I also have, these are Prairie Schooler, and it's a booklet that has 9 little patterns in it. It's called Bunnies. They're so cute. I hang them on my tree for all seasons that I had in Florida, and I have it now. It's in my family room here. There's a couple more. There are 9 patterns in that booklet. Prairie Schooler, just typical Prairie Schooler, classic. They don't get dated, don't go out of style. And I finished them around a piece of mat board. I don't think I laced them. I think I probably glued them. And then I just cut with pinking shears. I cut felt, the purple felt, and glued that on the back to give a finish and to keep them lightweight because they're ornaments to hang on that little tree. Don't want to have heavy things on that because it bends the branches. So there are some more bunnies. Prairie Schooler. Okay, guys, you're on your way back to the closet too. Mark this basket. Okay. Jellybean Jubilee, Brenda Gervais. Oops. And they're in my great bowl that Julia gifted me. And Julia, you'll see, I did not repaint it. I thought in the winter when I had my little snowman pillows in it, it looked great in blue. And frankly, I thought the blue looked great with these too. So I did all of these from the booklet, Jellybean Jubilee, Brenda Gervais, with thy needle and thread. Generally, I used her finishing directions. I had a cute little, I know I got this fabric at Hobby Lobby because I just saw it there again the other day. But the colors were so perfect just to have that little speckle of color. And these I finished in 2021 because I see the year charm on the back of this one. Oops. Someone said, if you pinch the back of the pillow, you won't have your hand in the way. Well, they're stuffed so tight, I really can't. I really stuffed these suckers. Okay. Mama Loves You GB just showed this one in her last video. And this one, she had them in a tray, very cute. And I pretty much did them just the way Brenda Gervais said to do them. Her colors. I didn't pull out my book for the details. I'm pretty sure I used all DMC. That's what I tend to do. So that's Jellybean Jubilee. Again, on its way to be put away. Up next, I will be showing you my framed items. I'm back. Okay, I have 2 items that are now framed, ready to go on the wall. You've probably anticipated this one, Smith Sampler. I gave a really good close-up of this, I think it was in my very last video. Smith Sampler, this was my birthday start in 2024. And I finished it, not quite in my birthday, I finished it a month later this year. So here it is in a beautiful frame. Love the frame. My framer is at Hobby Lobby. She knows what she's doing. I go in and she helps me choose, honestly, she helps me choose the frame. And she cuts the acid-free foam core, and I take the foam core home and my piece, and I do the lacing. And then when the frame is in, I take it, she pops it in and finishes it off, and there you go. And I have on the back, I have a library card. I always do this with the details, and I put my signature on it. It's not a foolproof method that could get separated from the piece, but it gives whoever owns this in the future the details. And I did remember to initial and date. And since this is a reproduction sampler, I don't like to change anything in it. So I put my initials and date outside the border. So it's clear that I stitched it, but I don't want to mess with the sampler. So there's Smith Sampler. Beautiful. It's a contender for State Fair this year. We'll see. Okay, and the next one I have is A Stitch in Time Saves 9. This is from Hands Across the Sea. It's stitched, oh, I forgot to tell you the details on Smith Sampler. You've heard that for over a year. You don't need to hear that again. This is stitched on 40 count cream and sugar. I used the called for DMC number 321, which is that beautiful Christmas red. This is exclusively available from A Stitch in Time in Hobart, Tasmania. And this is beautiful. There are just some beautiful stitches in there, and the fonts are beautiful. There is running back stitch that makes some of those fancy, move my drink bottle so I don't dump it over. Some of those fancy swirls and twirls are done with double running back stitch. So A Stitch in Time saves 9. She was my red sampler. As you know, I always have a red sampler on the go, and I give it 3 days in the month, an arbitrary amount determined by me. I think that, you know, about 10% of my stitching time is good for a red, solid red. So I will be picking a new one for next month, and we'll see what that is, because I haven't decided yet. You'll see when I see. Okay, I'm gonna get this all the way. Okay, now my soft finishes. I spent a ton of time working on these. We'll start with the things that I had as snow day stitches. This year is the first day I've ever done snow day, which my rule was if I see snow coming down on a day, then that day I will stitch on one of my designated snow day stitches. The first snow day stitch I did was called Jolly Happy Soul. The pattern, again, from Brenda Gervais, and again, it's stuffed so tight I can't grab the back fabric. So sorry, I'm obscuring it. This was stitched on an unknown count of opalescent fabric. You see the sparkle? I love that fabric. I would do something on that again. I really like it. And this used all the called for over dyes. The designer is Brenda Gervais with the needle and thread, if I didn't say that before. Now, what's your opinion about trim? I didn't put a trim on. I went looking for a trim. Sorry, let me open this little baggie. I went looking for a trim, hoping for something kind of sparkly, maybe goldish, maybe silvery-ish. And what I found was just looked like tinsel. So now I do have this chenille from Colorado Cross Stitch. But I don't know that that is really going to add anything to this, enhance it, make it stand out, make it look framed. I don't know. And I can add trim at any time. So at this point, I'm leaving it like this. But what is your opinion? Add a trim? Don't add a trim. If I add a trim, what do you suggest? A color from inside? Or I looked at the mini pom-poms that I have from Lady Dot Creates, and they're white, and I don't want to try to dye them and make a mess. So I don't think I'll do that, because this is not a white. This is an ecru kind of white. So what do you think? Trim, don't trim? Put it in the comments below. I'd appreciate getting some feedback on that. Okay, the next snow day I did, because the snow days that I picked up pieces were small. They were all small. I wasn't anticipating a lot. I was surprised. So the next one it's called Berries in Bloom. This is a free pattern from Hands-On Design. I just called it Mary in my book. I just kept saying it was Mary, but the correct name for it is Berries in Bloom, and it is a freebie from Hands-On Design. It is still available. Now, when you get the pattern, and it has the picture of the stitching, but it does not show a finish. I couldn't determine how did she finish this. So I kept looking at this round thing, and I thought, I don't want another ornament. I don't need another ornament. I don't want another ornament. And I kept trying to think of a round finish that I would be happy with, and remembered out of Blackbird Designs, Winds of Autumn. You see this one here. I did that one. It's called October 31st. I did that. So I went back to this book, used the template, used the instructions, with one change. When I finished this, and it's stuffed nicely with walnut shells, it's really firm. I really like it, except the bottom is squishy, because the directions were, you pull the fabric, you draw the fabric around the cardboard circle, iron it, and then remove the cardboard, and then you're sewing the bottom on. Well, it's squishy. So I decided, okay, I'm going to do this again, but this time I'm going to leave the cardboard in. I want a solid bottom, and I like the finish a lot better. I did exactly that. I left the cardboard in. Now, there's another story with this. This fabric is from my 2021 Bestitchme Fabric Club, and it was called Through the Stones. I love the color. I absolutely love it. And I tried to find a complementary, like this one is finished with fabric on the sides and on the bottom. I tried to find a complementary fabric, and I took it right to the fabric store and was looking. If I looked at anything that was a light green, it made the fabric look blue. If I put it by anything that was blue, it made it look green. So it's a tealy color, but I just couldn't find the right fabric. So, okay, I bit the bullet and I used the same linen around the sides, but I didn't want to waste any more of it than I had to. So I just found a gray batik that I had in my stash. Again, anything green made it look blue, anything blue made it look green, so I went with gray. So, and then I did the herringbone stitch around. Let's see, how did I started, okay, I did it like this. On the top, I put circles of wool. I have wool batting left over from quilting projects. So I did, like varying sizes circles of wool. Maybe, I think I have 4. Put it like this. Then I took a scrap of plain batting and covered that with plain batting so that when I put walnut shells in, they wouldn't go through and get mixed up. So it's like made a floor. So I filled it then with the walnut shells, and then I had my circle with cardboard, and I did put a layer of batting on that. So that's how I finished it. And then the herringbone stitches to finish it off. So that's Mary. That was my second snow day stitch. I'll get this back over here. Sorry, there's a lot of stuff to move around this time. Okay, and then the third snow day stitch I did was Winter Cardinal Etchings from Heart in Hand. Again, this is related to that bunny that I had as a flat fold. This is the cardinal in that series of 4. So I've stitched 2 of the series of 4. I stitched this on, let me see, 32 count Murano from Zweigart. So it's an even weave. That made it nice and easy. I used 2 colors, of course, DMC 3787 and 221 was the red, and finished it as a mounted flat fold, simple flat fold. She has mounted flat fold instructions and simple flat fold, and this is the flat fold. I used the same fabric on the back of this that I had on all of my Prairie Schooler Santas that I gave to my daughter. So, and then I have a ribbon again to keep it standing up. When you're done, fold it flat. It stores just great. So a flat fold or a mounted flat fold or simple flat fold is a great way to finish something that's seasonal. It's not going to be out all the time. It's mostly going to be packed away. It's a great finish, and you're not investing in a frame and adding expense. So those were my snow day stitches. Another one that I had just finished was Always Forward. This is from Mrs. Flossie on Etsy. This was, I stitched this in memory of Jean Lee. Now, Amy designed this. I mean, Jean had not died at that time. So, but I stitched it in memory of Jean Lee, Always Forward. And I didn't tell myself what I used. I used 2 different colors of red. Sorry, if you're interested, ask me. I can look it up in my book. It's in my book. And again, I didn't trim it. I am going to do, since I've finished this, I have gotten my 2025 charms, and I will put a bulb pin with a couple antique buttons and the charm 2025 on here. Now, your opinion. Do I need a trim around? Do I leave it simple? It is a squishy. It's nice and heavy, but it's squishy. Anyway, opinion on trim. Trim, no trim. If so, what color trim would you use? Would you match one of the reds? I suppose that would be the thing to do, one of the reds. Anyway, so that's always forward. See, I did a lot of stuff. Okay, here's one, a blast from the past. You won't remember, maybe. Thomas. Thomas is a pattern from Not Forgotten Farm. I stitched it on 18 count Aida that I coffee dyed myself. It started as a white Aida, but I didn't want white. I used all DMC flosses. I think they're called listed in the pattern. I don't think I made that up. And I finished it as a simple flat fold, again using Vanna's tutorial. Orange in the back, there's a stand-up, and there it is. It's not a stand-up. Stand-ups are different, but this is a flat fold. So again, I put my initials and year on the outside of the border, and there's Thomas. I love the colors in this. Okay, so again, a simple flat fold, and I will link that below. Okay, so that was Thomas. Okay, and then there are stitches that I finished, that I stitched on while I was on my recent cruise. I finished all of them except 2, and the only reason I didn't finish them was because I ran out of a floss color for each of them. So it was a quick finish when I got them home. So I showed you a little bit about this last time. The samplings 1 and 2 from Brenda Gervais with Thy Needle and Thread. And Carol Saltbox Stitcher showed hers. And Carol, like you, I had trouble with these. Yeah, the seam allowance kept disappearing. Now, I did do my opening at the bottom on all of them because that's my habit. So this is the blue that was actually stitched. And then, of course, we had the pre-printed, included with the pattern was the pre-printed alphabet fabric to accompany. So, yeah. If I were to do this again, which I won't, but if I were to do it again, I would do it the way I thought they were going to be finished when I saw the pictures on the front of the pattern. I thought they were going to be finished more like an ornament, you know, around a piece of mat board or acid-free comic board, cut in the shape, and then you'd pull it around, maybe pad it with some batting on the front, and then connect it on the back the way you would an ornament. But that's not her directions, and you know, I gotta trust Brenda Gervais. She knows what she's doing, but I don't know. I would, personally, I would do it the way I originally thought rather than this way. Here's the red or pink version stitched up. I couldn't make a nice curve. The seam allowance kept disappearing, and I've stuffed it with walnut shells. So as I'm stuffing, my seam allowance is getting frayed, and, but finished is better than perfect, right? And they'll be stacked in a basket. And then also the pre-printed fabric came with the pattern and enough fabric for the backing, and so there they are. That's how I have them right now in this little basket. My mother and I took basket weaving class, a couple basket weaving classes actually. This is the one she made. It's heart-shaped. Oh, my hand has to, okay. Just dump them out. It's a heart-shaped basket. So mine is in a Tupperware tub in our storage area. So I did mine. She did pink. I think mine was blue in the trim. So anyway, samplings numbers 1 and 2 from Brenda Gervais. Okay, that's not all. That's not all. Spring green pears. Let me get this basket up here. Okay, spring green pears. Spring green. Did I say spring green? Spring green pears. This is from Annie B's Folk Art Designs. The green, spring green pears, stitched on 36 count agave. Where's my note? 36 count agave, and the thread was Dinky Dyes silk in the color pearl. Let's see, where's the first one I did? Okay, this is the first one I did. I showed this. I'm not sure if I had the stem and leaves on it yet, but I did a hard bottom because I was afraid that the walnut shells would come leaking out, so I did that. Now, I actually like how tightly this is stuffed, although I did fiber fill at the top, which is a little squishy. But the weight is good, and I really got it stuffed nicely. So I like that. The others, I did not do the hard closing on the bottom. I had a hard time doing it. As I said, I had some wrinkles there, and I didn't like that. But so I cut the wool. So when I stuffed it, it was this way. I stuffed it with my walnut shells, and then again, I took a circle of batting, regular batting, not wool, and laid it on top like as a protectant, and kind of tucked it down around, and then I sewed the wool bottom on. That's what I did. So they're not leaking, but they're softer. They're softer than the other one, but they're just going to sit and look pretty, not like I'm using it for a pin cushion or anything. And the wool came with the kit. And actually, I used a dot of fabric glue to put those on instead of trying to sew them on. So there you go, lazy. Sometimes works out. And here's the other one, the green. So all three are finished. Finished. I found some of my mom's glassware. I'm going to display them on in the cabinet. They'll look pretty. And I didn't want to carry the glassware down here because sure shooting, I would drop them or something. So anyway, that's the spring green pears. Ta-da! Check that one off. Okay, what's next? Okay. Next is Clara and Henry from Lizzy Kate. Now these are patterns, if you're interested, if they're available, they're only available from 123stitch.com. They own all the rights to Lizzy Kate patterns. So Clara is fully finished. Ta-da! Fully finished, top to bottom. Did my cording according to Vanna's instructions. But honestly, I need adult supervision when I do cording. I always think I've gotten it tight enough, and then when I take it off, I go, it could have been tighter. It's a little loosey-goosey. I don't know. I listen to the tutorial every time I do these things. I listen and stop it, and then do the step, and then listen. And okay, these little flower buttons came in the kit. They were supposed to send 2 little 3/16 of an inch pink buttons. And I had suggestions from people, excuse me, online. One person said, you should contact 123 Stitch. It was their responsibility to send the buttons. And I did. And the person I talked to said she didn't know if they even had it anymore, and she would have to ask her supervisor what would be done about the buttons if they did have it. And she took my number, and she was going to call me back the next day. So, of course, I took my phone off, block all unknown callers and stuff. So I was getting junk calls, but no, I got no call. I waited several days and said, wait, I'm moving on. I want to get this done. So I had these little 1/4 inch buttons from my Lori Holt bitty buttons. I showed those last time. So attaching these, it says, you just sew it on with invisible thread. Well, that sounds very easy, doesn't it? Well, first of all, the thread is invisible. Hello. And I couldn't tie a knot in the end of it. I have that invisible thread that when I do machine applique on, an invisible zigzag around fusible applique on quilts. Well, I've used it on the machine, but I've never used it in hand sewing. Well, again, I didn't use it in hand sewing. What I ended up doing is getting my very, very thinnest quilting thread. It's 100 weight. It's made for micro quilting. When you're doing a lot of textured quilting and you don't want a thread buildup, you want the texture, but you don't want the thread to show. That's what that is. So that's what I used. I did a few wrapping stitches around these tools, and I put a dot on the handles of Aleene's glue, and they're going to be okay if the kids don't pull on them or something. And the hat, I put 2 tacking stitches on the ribbon, and I put a dot of Aleene's glue behind the ribbon there. I put a dot of glue, which part of the hat did I do that on? I think I did it under the ribbon here. I put Aleene's glue again, and then I did some tacking stitches with my 100 weight thread. The basket, tissue paper under the carrots to fill the basket. And then I just whip stitched around that handle to attach it to the front there with that 100 weight thread. And ta-da, there she is, fully done. She's so cute. I found the whiskers challenging. I thought I would be able to take, 3 long pieces, thread my needle and go under the nose and come up and then have them just hanging out. Well, no, you couldn't do that. Even to have a needle that would go through, it couldn't be too huge, and trying to thread the needle didn't work. So I did it the way it said, cut 6 pieces. I cut 6 pieces, and then I used, again, my white 100 weight to do it. If I started right at the tip, it wouldn't stay. So I pulled the thread this way, did several couching stitches, like 3, and then pulled it back as close as I could, then did a stabbing stitch through so it wouldn't move, and then anyway, that was fussier than I thought. And I thought I would get both of these done yesterday, but I didn't. I ran out of time. So Clara is fully finished. And here's Henry, almost finished. He, of course, still needs his cording. He has a corsage boutonniere to go on his vest, and he has a shovel. So I will attach those, I think, after I've done my cording. And again, I did the same kind of, a few little bitty wrinkles, but not bad. And it'll be covered with the cording anyway. So there's Mr. Henry. So he's almost done. I probably will get him, depends on how long I mess around with this video. Either today or tomorrow, I'll get him done. And then it's time to pack him away because Easter's done. But anyway, there they are. I've had these probably 5 years. I just had to get them in the pandemic. I had to have them because I had to stitch them. Well, then you get them. And then we were Florida and then Kentucky and Florida and Kentucky, and they never came up in my, anyway, they're done. So those are my fully finishes. Yay, Karen. Whew. I don't like doing FFOs, as you know. Most stitchers don't. We like to do the stitching and we don't want to mess with the finishing. So, okay, that's those. I have 2, I said my things were stacked up on my ironing surface. I only have 2 things left. Finishing Henry and Reverend Gordon Squash Bottom. And when I get to haul, I'll show you the fabric. I'm going to do him again as a flat fold. I don't know if I'll do a mounted flat fold or a simple flat fold. But I have a couple fabrics to choose from. I found at Fat Quarter Shop, Joe Morton Fabrics. Anyway, I'll show him in haul. So he's my last thing on the ironing board waiting to be finished. Yay! Okay, next up, I will show you the whips that I've been working on this month. Okay, I'm back with my whips that I worked on in the last 2 weeks. And if you're new to watching Flosstube's whips, WIP, stands for Works in Progress. And so that's what I'm going to show you now, my Works in Progress. The first one I worked on is Martha Miller, 1858. This is a pattern from Running with Needles and Scissors. And I'm doing this as a stitch along with Queen City Sampler Guild. My brain just did a blip. I was anticipating posing my little Clara and hoping YouTube would take a picture of it, and I forgot. They always take a thumbnail with my stupid expression on my face. Anyway, back to this lovely sampler. Sylvia has divided this out into 9 sections. Excuse me, Flosstube throat. And it was started in January, so those of us who keep up with it should be finished with it in September. And I have so far. January, February, March, April. Plus, wherever it ended, if there was part of a motif, I finished the motif, or if I needed to do something so that I could count to something else, I did that. So I'm a little bit ahead of the game, and it's a beauty. It's a beauty. Okay, again, with Queen City Sampler Guild, that's a stitch along. And it lives in this bag that I made myself. And I like the vinyl front. Now, Carol Saltbox mentioned, and she's mentioned before, I know that she's kind of gotten away from the vinyl fronts because she's had patterns stick to the front and the print has come off. And I've never had that, and I wonder if it's heat, perhaps. The other thing is when I have my pattern in my bag, most of the time I have them in their plastic bag because I make working copies and I'm not really using the pattern. So maybe that's a difference. Anyway, I don't know. But my favorite is the vinyl front because I like to see what's in it. Okay, my next whip is also my focus piece. And for those of you who are new here, I will tell you that I always have a focus piece, which is, by my choice, it's my oldest whip. And because I'm relatively new to coming back to stitching, I know my oldest whip. I've kept track in writing of all of the things I've stitched and when I started them and so forth. And I didn't bring my books over here. So another time I'll re-show again how I keep track in my books of what they are. So Anne Gott is currently my focus piece. That means every month I stitch 7 days on the focus piece, and it remains my focus piece until it's done. The 7 days don't have to be consecutive. I can do it however I want. If something interrupts and I just pick up something different, it doesn't matter. But I stick to 7 days in the month working on that focus piece so I don't have pieces that are lingering out there and being forgotten and not gotten done. Okay, that's enough of that. So Anne Gott from Needlework Press, and this is an adaptation. I have replaced this with a verse that was included, charted in the pattern, and I have inserted in the bottom here. I inserted my initials and the year I stitched it. So I've done a little bit of changing, and I'll show you what this is looking like now. Oh, and another thing, I do not apologize for not pressing my work before I show you, because my work gets pressed when I'm done stitching and before it goes in a project roll, ready to go to the framer, and it doesn't get pressed again. One press, because if you press and press and press, you smash down those stitches and they're not going to pop up again. And what I love about seeing the finish is seeing the texture of the stitches, especially when I go to the treble. Well, treble you're supposed to, but I make sure that I'm always crossing my X's in the same way, and I like seeing that lineup of those, all the same angle on those stitch threads. So that's me. So I know some people apologize. Oh, sorry, I didn't press. I don't apologize. So that's my story, and I'm sticking to it. Okay, so I have now finished the entire border. I had the bones of it before, but I finished the border. And I started working up from the bottom because there's a big rose here. And like I said in the last one, if I made a mistake where I started that and then came down, I would be SOL by the time I got down here. So now I'm going to work up, and I've run out of Secret Garden, the green. You know, if it takes more than one skein, why don't they say it in the pattern? I would have gotten it. So I've ordered it, but it's very unlikely it'll be the same dye lot, but oh well, grass has different colors. So there we go. Let's see. So that's about all I have to say about this. It's stitched on 46 count. She's a big girl, so I'm stitching her on 46 count to make it a little bit smaller for framing. And this fabric is called Caramel Macchiato from Fiber on a Whim. I really love their fabric. Oh, I love a lot of fabrics, but it's just a lovely fabric. And I'm using all the called for classic Colorworks over dyes. And that's right in the pattern. So, and as I say, that this verse is charted in the pattern, so you can insert it, or you can make it the way Anne Gott had it, a present to my dear aunt or something. And I stuck in my initials and date down here. So it's coming along. She's my focus currently. We'll talk about that in a minute. And it's living in this bag, which is not standard size, not standard way of making it. This is one of the early ones I made. Kimberly Jolly had a tutorial on making bags, and her style was to put this fabric around the vinyl, which has an advantage too, but that's not how I do it now. But it was for this fabric. I love this fabric. This was like all I had left from a previous quilt project, and I absolutely loved the fabric, and it was no longer available. Of course, that's how fabric is. And I believe I used every last drop of that fabric on this bag. And I just love the colors. I love the print, so I couldn't let it go. So it has nothing to do with samplers, nothing to do with Vanguard. I don't have a theme with this bag, but I do love the bag. Okay, the third one I worked on this month is Florence Mary Dickinson. This is a pattern from Hands Across the Sea. Look at that gorgeous, that yellow flower. When I saw that, oh my gosh, I have to have that. So I got that. I started this, and of course it was all kitted up and in my closet, in my basket. And last June, a sale began. It started as a sale with Sarah's Stitchy Spot, Stitching Bunny, and Hobbies of Holly, and it was called Two Birthday Girls, and Holly jumped on. So I started it along with them last June, and I'm stitching it on 40 count graham cracker, and I'm pretty sure I got that from Kitten Stitcher because her son Graham does some dyeing. And I'm using all DMC floss, and look at those gorgeous, gorgeous, gorgeous. I stuck in the bird. I wanted to do one little motif before I got back to the border. And I have now completed the two colors of greens. The bones was already done, the brownish. And then now I've done the leaves all the way around, 2 colors. And over here, okay, I had a few of the flowers done. Now I'm starting to go down, and I'm going to do all of that color purple, all of that color purple, and jump and go all the way around with that. Then I'll come back. Here's a finished one. See, there's a lighter in there also. Then I'll go and do all that lighter. To me, when there's so many changes, it seems like if you stick with the color and go finish the color, instead of changing up your threads in one little spot, change and change and change, I think overall it's faster. That's my theory. We could put it to a scientific test and see, but anyway, that's how I'm doing it. So Florence Mary Dickinson. So Sarah and Holly, how are you doing? It's coming up to its 1-year anniversary here, guys. Let's get going. I just throw it out there. You know, I can be testy. Okay, and this one's living in my macaron bag. Macaroon? Not macaroon. They're French macaroons. Anyway, that I made. And I did the zipper pull using Lori Holt's daughter, Cassidy, has a little tutorial on one of her videos. So that's a fun bag. Okay, next I have a little haul. And again, don't run for the hills. It's not very much. Let me just show you. And this you can expect, of course, because I'm in the 2 floss clubs from Fat Quarter Shop, and this is the Classic Colorworks. This was this month's my floss fix, and these will get on rings and be put into my box, and I'll talk about that again in a minute too. Also from Fat Quarter Shop, I got some fabric. I showed you Reverend Gordon the Reverend Gordon squash bottom, ready to be finished. And I found a couple fabrics that I thought were really likely contenders. Okay, let me see if I can show you both. If I do this, I can show both. Okay, these are Joe Morton fabrics. The colors go great with the floss in that. So this is a larger print. Of course, why don't I tell you the obvious? And then this is busier. So I'll just decide which one I will use. And I have enough that when I stitch his wife Prunella, I can either make them matchy-matchy, or they could just be blendy-blendy, one of one fabric and one of the other. So I can do either one. If you have an opinion, let me know. Should they match, or should they be one of one, one of the other? So beautiful fabric. Again, I got it from Fat Quarter Shop. It's Joe Morton's new line. Okay, the other haul I got. What did I get that I had to get this? Okay, this was my market buy, one of my market buys. This is from Shakespeare's Peddler. It's a French sampler, or no, summer sampler. A French summer sampler, I was almost right. A French summer sampler, and I love it because it's just, it looks so fresh. And I ordered something, oh, when did I look at this? Oh, I know, I had to get the floss for Henry O'Hare's pants. And it's not a DMC, it's an overdye, so I had to get it from somewhere online. Well, I'm not just going to order one skein of thread, and I had this waiting to be kitted up. So I got Henry's thread, and then got this one kitted up, you know, with one shipping charge. Excuse me again, Flosstube throat. The called for fabric is cappuccino, fiber on a whim. 40 count, is it? Yeah, it's 40 count. And then I got all of the called for sampler threads, Weeks Dye Works, and Classic Color Works. Okay, I'm sorry, I have to take a drink. Flosstube throat is a real thing. Like Flosstube runny nose, Flosstube, all that stuff. It just happens as soon as you're on camera. So pretty colors. It's going to be beautiful. So this is kitted up and ready to go now. So that's the sum total of my haul. I'll talk about plans. Okay, I'm going to finish the month by giving Florence Mary 2 more days. That'll be a total of 5 days for Florence Mary Dickinson. I'm going to finish the month, I think that leaves me another 5 days, or I don't remember. It's counted out in my book of days. Anyway, with something that's really calling to me, whether it's a new start, or Mary Amelia's Bird, or Jessie Callenor. I haven't touched her since January. So anyway, I'll finish out the month, and then when we get to May 1st, I'll be starting my new rotation. 7 days on focus piece. I mean, I'll plot it all out. 3 days on a red sampler, which I will choose, and the Martha Miller Sal, and then I have days to fill in. We had a little discussion on a Zoom the other night about mania, and I don't do mania. And then someone mentioned, well, I'm doing market mania, which sounds really good to me. Except again, that's all a bunch of new starts. And I'm feeling, it's starting to feel to me like I have too many things started because I can't touch them all in rotation. Like Jessie Callenor, I haven't touched since January. I have those 2 big ones, Catherine Adriana Lunison, huge, on scroll rods. I haven't touched that for months. The other one on scroll, oh, Sarah Lawton. Susanna Lawton. Again, huge. I haven't touched, I started it and I haven't, because it doesn't come up in my rotation. There aren't enough days in the month for me to get to them. So maybe I will apportion the days remaining in May to try to touch those, or maybe I will fall prey to market mania. I mean, after all, I have this one all ready to go. I don't know. And I have 2 more coming because I had to order the Secret Garden thread for Ann Gott that I ran out of. Well, I wasn't just going to order thread, so I had a couple patterns thrown in that were on my wish list. So I don't know. I'm so angsty and changey. I don't know. I have to get my head together. And you'll find out next time what I decided to do. Okay, the rest of my plans, I'm getting ready to reorganize my over-dyed floss. As I've said before, now that I'm in 2 floss clubs, they're starting, it's my one box that has all the brands together is getting really full. So I now have separate boxes, and I will do a box for Classic Colorworks, a box for Weeks Dye Works, and a box for Gentle Art, although I don't have nearly as many Gentle Art, but I'm going to do it anyway. That's because then I can continue to grow with what I have and not be messing around having things scattered all over. The other thing I'm going to do, I'm going to keep a focus piece, but I'm going to change it beginning next month. Margaret Hutton was started last May in Cincinnati at a retreat with Nicola Parkman. And I'm going to Hobby House in August, and Nicola will be there again. And I would love to have Margaret Hutton finished. So I'm going to switch her. She's the next one up in my focus piece anyway. So I'm going to put Ann Gott aside, slip Margaret Hutton up, and then I'll get back to Ann Gott when I finish Margaret. But I want to try to get that done so I can take it in August and show Nicola that I did get that done. So that's my plans going ahead. At this point, I will pause, and the next thing I will share is the quilt. Okay, I'm back. As you can see, this is a traditional double wedding ring quilt. Its finished size is 96 inches wide by 108 inches long. Goes down to the floor. Am I showing it? Yeah, okay. Okay, it's very traditional, but I used a specific book to make it. Double Wedding Ring book by Mary Ellen Hopkins. Mary Ellen Hopkins was just a wonderful quilt teacher. I never attended a workshop in person, but I saw her on various shows. She was a guest on shows and talked about her methodology and so forth. And she was so funny. Like in this book, she said, if you need to use pins, use pins. Nobody's going to knock on the door and ask you how many pins you used. So she just had a wonderful approach to everything. It's like, you do it the way you need to do it, but here are the templates, and this is the method, and this is how you do it. Now, you can see it's all hand quilted. So it's a queen size. It's 96 wide. It's not wide enough for king, but it felt like it was a king, I'll tell you. I did not have a quilting bee helping me quilt this. It was just my little old self sitting at the quilting frame. And I don't know how long it took me. I do not have record of that. I did not keep record of my quilting the way I keep record of my cross stitch. But I do have the finished date. I don't know if you can see it down here. Oops, where's that block? Okay, there's the block right here. Sorry. One hand here. Can you see it? Where is it? There it is. Okay, I quilted my name, and then in that little melon piece, I put the date, January 26, 1993. So it was finished in January 93. Certainly I was stitching it in 92, maybe even 91, I don't know. So this satisfied my urge to make a double wedding ring quilt. In all these years, I've never rushed to make another one. And you can tell probably from the color palette that it was, yes, indeed, 1990s, that peach color and greens, which I loved. It was a real challenge to me doing the curves on my machine. I probably did not have the skills needed, but I charged through. I know one thing I did not know is the correct way to do the inner turn and an outer turn on the binding. And I don't think I asked a quilt teacher. I mean, I had a friend who had a quilt store, and I don't think I asked her. I think I just said, oh, well, this will work. I'll do it this way. You know, I don't know. I wouldn't be that blasé about it now, but anyway. And as I say, it was just little old me sitting at the frame doing this quilting. I don't know how long it took, but I'll never do another one. That satisfies my urge for a double wedding ring quilt. And okay, so this was Back in the day when I did all hand quilting, because I didn't have a long arm, of course, and didn't, I mean, I know that my grandmother sent her quilts out to be machine quilted. And that was in the years, when she sent those out, it was in the years before computers. I have no idea how that was done back then. They were certainly not computerized machines. So anyway, this is a hand quilted, queen size, double wedding ring. I don't know what else to tell you about it. The backing all matches the front. Now that's something my grandmother never would have done. She would never have spent money on a pretty fabric and put it on the back. She would buy a sheet on sale and use that for a whole backing and have the pretty stuff on the front. So anyway, okay. Okay, now if I grab this wrong, I'm going to turn this off. Hang on. Sorry. Okay, so that's it for this time. There'll be 2 weeks. I'll be back. The date is not in my face right now, and I can't remember what it is, but 2 weeks from today, I'll do another one, and we'll see what I decide to do about mania or no mania, or just be manic. I don't know. So happy stitching, Flosstube. See you in 2 weeks. Bye-bye.